Hey, hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Grow Up, the show where I help you connect with your childhood experiences in order to better understand our current adult world view. I am your host, Fernando, and today we are talking about focus, why you are not focused, and what we can do to improve focus in order to achieve our goals so that we can become the greatness that we are within. You know what I'm saying? So I want to go back. I mean, the whole idea is to go, let's reconnect with our childhood experiences. So focus. Me, when I was a little girl, was quite a distracted little child. I used to go to I think she was an occupational therapist or she was a psychologist. I don't know what the fuck this woman was, but I'll tell you this. She was not good at her job. How do I know this? Because I don't know what she did. I don't know why I was even there. Or it could be the fault of my parents because they didn't tell me why I was going there. I just went there. And I would read for her. I would do puzzles with other kids. And that's what I can remember. Why I went to this woman is because my mom informed me some time ago that my teachers would actually complain that I was not focused in class. I was very much a daydreamer and I wouldn't complete my work and I was behind and I wasn't the best academic student. I've said this many times here. And she said that I would say to her that, no, it's because there's these leaves out the window. There was like a tree, I guess, outside my classroom that would distract me. And I would just sit and look at the tree and not focus on my schoolwork and thus, falling behind and so forth. How this got resolved, I don't know. I think is because when I moved to South Africa after I lost my eyesight, I went to a school that was dedicated for children with visual impairment. And in the school, we had the special classes where it was children with visual impairment and learning disabilities. There, I had the opportunity to kind of restart because I had to learn Braille. So I had to essentially go back to grade 0 or 1 or whatever. At how old was I? I was 11 and I had to start over. So I was held back for 3 years so that I could relearn Braille. Not relearn, so that I could learn Braille, essentially relearning how to write and read because it's a whole different system, right? And also learning English and learning Afrikaans. I think having had the opportunity to do things over gave me an opportunity gave me the chance to do better and to understand things better. And I think also learning a different language helped. I don't know. But I think that's where all of this got resolved. And a fair question would be, why didn't I maybe get diagnosed or didn't they do exams to see any diagnosis or whatnot? I had this discussion with my mother about 7 years ago, when my son got diagnosed with ADHD. And in the doctor's office, we were also talking about my experience. And my son's doctor was like, maybe you two need to look at it, And that is the first time my mom had even heard of ADHD. And she only then started researching. In other words, in our continent of Africa, we don't have a lot of knowledge about learning disabilities or mental disabilities besides seeing a child with Down syndrome or seeing someone who has dyslexia or something. There are kids that have other learning disabilities, but they're written off as dumb and stupid and problematic. And they fail over and over and over again in school. And it is kind of pinned on them as lazy or they don't want to work or so forth. And we don't have the tools to understand that there could be something else wrong with this child that can actually be attended to medically to help them and give them a better opportunity in life. Thankfully, I was able to do this for my son. But today is not really so much about my journey with my child and his ADHD, but to understand focus. And my experience with focus as a child was very difficult. I didn't have much. But as I grew up, I think I learned tools and systems to develop my ability to focus. And the importance of focus, because our goal is to be better humans, is to grow up in a world where we achieve our best. We are growing into the best that we are. Focus is very important. It's very important for us to have focus goals, very direct objectives, and know what to do to keep our mind on track. So, first and foremost, we need to understand what happens in our brain with focus. So I broke this down in a few little segments, like how does the brain, or what happens to the brain? How does the brain do with focus? What goes on here? So first component of the brain that we're going to touch on is our frontal lobe. Our frontal lobe is here in front. I wasn't sure, but it is. And thankfully it's in the name. It's in the front of the lobe of the brain. And it is, I think, the most anterior, which is the most front part of the brain as a whole. The frontal lobe is responsible for higher cognitive functions such as memory, emotions, impulse control, problem solving, social interactions, and motor functions. So all of that, this whole front part is responsible for it. So our impulses, our ability to have some form of self-control, our ability to focus, our ability to interact with people and communicate efficiently is all happening here. Forehead to, I think, here. I don't know. I'm pointing. I know it's a podcast, but you know what I'm saying. So that's the first part of the brain to understand, our frontal lobe. Then within our frontal lobe, we have our cerebral cortex. Our cerebral cortex is responsible for memory, thinking, learning, reasoning, problem solving, emotions, consciousness, and functions related to your senses. So your smell, your sight, perception, how you perceive something is all happening in your cerebral cortex. So your frontal lobe is responsible for the higher functions, your higher cognitive functions. Your frontal lobe, your cortex, I tell you why I don't like science. It's difficult to pronounce. The cerebral cortex breaks down to the minor side of the concentrate is now responsible for your emotion, your consciousness, thoughts, thinking, memory. All those functions related to your senses are all taking place in your cerebral cortex. Now we have our neurocortex. So we started big, going here and going deeper. Our neurocortex is thought to be responsible for the neural computation of attention, thought, perception, and episodic memory. Okay, so this is what's happening in your neurocortex. So attention, thought, perception, and episodic memory. So anything related to what you need to do for attention, when you need to hyperfocus, it all happens there. When you need to think and focus, that's what happens there. When you need to recall, when you have memory, your recall is all happening here in your neurocortex. Okay? Look, I'm just going to go out here and say, look, don't think of me as like this highly scientific, whatever. No, bitch. I'm just looking and trying to make sense of this thing in a way that we understand it beyond, how can I put it? We need to understand things beyond just whatever. Okay? Now, when you focus, what happens to your brain? When you focus, your brain directs the focus capability by filtering out the important information and moving it up to the ladder for deeper processing while suppressing interruptions from irrelevant bits and pieces. So, function known as efficient selection. So you decide, today I want to do, what can I say? Today I want to play the guitar. So everything related to you playing the guitar is pushed forward, remembering your notes, remembering your fingering position, remembering how to hold the guitar. The muscle memory kicks in because this is what the task is that you have decided to be focused on. It's literally like taking a flashlight and pointing it at a specific target and you seeing everything that has to do with that target. If you shine, you heard a sound like, oh, where's that rat? I need to find that rat. And you shine a light and you see the rat. Everything you just see the rat because it's fucking there in the light. Okay? So that is what happens when we focus. Now, distractions. What happens when we get distraction? So during those periods of distraction, the brain pauses and scans the environment to see if there is something outside the primary focus of attention that might be more stimulating. So if there is not, the brain then refocuses to the thing that you're doing. So once you get distracted, it's because you're not getting any stimulation from what you're doing. Then your brain starts to scatter and you start to look for other things that might give you a little bit of that dopamine stimulation. So distraction is literally that. It's something that will excite you in the moment. So if you're not focused, if you're not getting any dopamine or any stimulation from what you're focused on, your brain will switch off from what you're doing and try to find something else to give you that feel of excitement. But here's something very interesting. For every distraction, the brain can take up to 3 to 5 minutes to refocus or to get back on track to what you're doing. So distractions create a physiological hyper-alert state that activates adrenaline and cortisol production, which is a stress indicator because you don't have now the thing that is relaxing and that is calming you. You get this hyper sense of like, I need something, I need that dopamine, and you get into a state of stress and then you struggle to go back to focus. And it takes 3 to 5 minutes from the moment that you get distracted to get back on function. So here are a few things that could cause you to get distracted, that could induce distraction. Multitasking, not choosing one task and wanting to do different things at the same time, because you have to activate different functions in different parts of your brain. You will not be able to hyper focus, so you want to do many different things. So multitasking is a good way for you to get distracted. Lack of boundaries. When I say lack of boundaries, is deciding from this time to this time, I am focusing on this, and making it clear that distractions are not welcome in that time frame. So if you don't have those boundaries, if you don't have that dedicated time for you to work on something, you will get distracted. So set boundaries for your tasks, for your work, or whatever it might be. And then we obviously have our digital and technological distractions, like our cell phone. Every time a notification goes off, you want to see who has to say what. Every time you get bored, you're like, let me just quickly see YouTube and then I'll get back to work. So your digital distractions, or putting on the TV or putting on the radio sometimes, because, sometimes you could be hyper focusing and then there's a conversation on radio that's going on that is too interesting and you cannot switch it off. So now you get distracted and you lose track of what you are doing. So these are just a few ways in which you can get distracted, or a few things that can get you to a distracted point. So you need to also understand that there is a connection, or there is a relationship between focus and your cognitive function, which means that your cognitive function refers to multiple mental abilities, including learning, thinking, reasoning, remembering, problem solving, decision making, and attention. So all of these are your cognitive functions. if you cannot focus, you will have a hard time performing certain cognitive functions. Let's say learning, for example. If you're trying to learn something and you cannot focus on the course material, you will struggle. If you're trying to remember something, if you cannot hyper focus on certain details about the thing that you are trying to recall, right? So all your cognitive functions somehow invoke focus. You need focus to recruit these cognitive functions. If you want to think, you need to concentrate. Because remember, many times you'd sit there and like, oh, just give me, stop talking. Let me try to think. I'm trying to think. Right? Because you need to focus in order for you to recruit the thinking situation. So there is a very clear relationship between cognitive function and focus. Now, how can we make sure that we are not constantly distracted and that we have the ability to focus in order to achieve our goals? So, first, you need to learn to create an optimal environment for focus. Okay? So you need to design a distraction-free workspace in order to enhance concentration. If you have an office, if you have a study area, make sure that it is distraction-free. How? Keep your space clutter-free. For me, that is very important because now I don't have anything on my desk that doesn't need to be on my desk. Everything that is here needs to be here because it serves a very specific function. Anything that has no room in my space needs to go. Any old books that are not there, any pieces of paper that are just lying around, keep your space clutter-free in order for you to be able to concentrate. I know there are some people, and a lot of people, men actually specifically, that I've seen this with, where they have like this disorganized kind of order where their desks are so disorganized, but they know where everything is. I mean, if that's you, do you. But just make sure that what you have there is the things that you need, that you don't have any other funny random things. Oh my gosh. Put whatever you're not using in that moment away and out of sight. So your phone, if you're not using your phone, put your notebooks away, put your anything in that moment that's not being used needs to be put away. Because many times we also like to use these things as like, oh, my notebook is here. Let me take a note. Maybe you don't need to take a note. You just feel like you need to take a note. Or let me look at what's in my notebook, and you get distracted by that. If the task does not require you to have your notebook or your phone around you, put it away and focus on your work. Work in a quiet space. I mean, quiet is relative. I mean, if you are somebody that gets along with a lot of noise and you get focused that way, good for you. But I think for the most part, people like some, I'll say peaceful, instead of quiet, because maybe you put on music, maybe you put on a podcast or YouTube video in the background that keeps you focused. But just a nice, peaceful, relaxed space that you can work with. Close your office door or use headsets. If you're working around people, if there's people in your workspace, use noise cancelling headphones or close your office door because you don't see people passing and who's coming. The delivery man is coming and you get distracted by him and all of that. So close it. Let all the bullshit that's happening outside stay outside. And keep open only tabs that are related to the task that you're busy with. So if you're working on your computer, keep only the tabs open that you are working with and the documents that you're working with. Don't open anything else. It's very easy to say like, oh, what is this? And then, you kind of get distracted and go down that rabbit hole of what is this? Oh, I didn't know what this is. And then before you know it, you're distracted. And then it takes you another 3 to 5 minutes to get back to your work and you've wasted more time. So don't do funny things. Are you here to script? Open whatever tools you use for scripting. And that's all you need. Are you here to do research? Open whatever you need to do research. I know with Chrome, there's some, what is it called? There's some what blockers or whatever that you can use to say that, hey, don't open these types of sites like your social media and all of that is, blocked from your Chrome browser. Then that way you are very focused on what you need to do. So there are tools out there that you can try and use to keep you more focused. Now, utilize tools and techniques that minimize interruptions and distractions, like getting rid of your phone, get comfortable. It's very important for you to get nice and comfortable so that you don't feel like, ah, man, I'm uncomfortable, I'm too cold, my chair is too high, it's too solid. So make your setup very comfortable and easy for you to be in. Okay? Bring everything that you might need with you. For me, my office is not in the main, like the house is there and the office is outside. So I always make sure that when I come here in the morning, I have my cell phone charger with me. I have my water bottle with me. I usually come here with my coffee. I come here with, it's winter now, it's freezing as cold. You know, my sleeping bag is here. Sometimes I even actually, some things stay here, like my sleeping bag stays here. I leave this coat here, but I make sure that whenever I come here and I sit down to work, everything that I might need is with me so that I don't have to get up and go into the house and pick this up and go into the house and get that, because it is a distraction. And then let family or friends or your housemates know that right now I'm busy. Please don't knock. Please don't come because I'm busy working. I let it be known that I'm recording. So that's why usually you've noticed the only person or thing that disturbs me is Milo, because he's very unreasonable. But other than that, nobody else disturbs me because I let it be known that right now I'm recording. I cannot be disturbed. Please do not come to the office, and nobody comes to the office until I'm out. So it's important to set, and this is a boundary. We spoke about those boundaries up there. This is a boundary to set that when I'm working, don't call me, don't come here. If somebody phones you, don't pick up your phone or put your phone on airplane mode. Do whatever you need to do to make sure that that time that you've set out to work is reserved for work and nothing else. Incorporate elements of nature or ambience into your workspace. So I wish I could work outside. It's one of those things that I'm like, it would be so nice sometimes to just go outside and work on my laptop, but I can't see. So if you enjoy that and you want to be out in nature and it's more peaceful, go. Get out there and set yourself up nice and comfortable and get some work done if you work on your laptop or if your work allows you to do it or whatever it is that you're doing, get out there and do that. If not, you can also incorporate some nature aspects into your office, like putting some plants in your space. Some people like that, to have some flowers and, you know, just a nice little cactus or some roses, whatever it is that you might like. Put some plants in your office around you that makes you feel a little bit more, ooh, I'm in nature, whatever pretentious bullshit that we like to do. And then if your pet calms you, also let him in. Milo doesn't disturb me as much. You know, he's pretty much a very calm doggy and I like having him around, and him being here, I don't know, there's something about him that calms me, that relaxes me, and it allows me to focus more. When he's here, yes, if he's not here also, but when he is here, I let him in and we chill, he chills, and I have a nice time and I feel good having him with me. It feels very comforting. And then get the room into to a comfortable temperature. This one I realized actually on Monday, this Monday, it was so cold. We had a huge cold front here in South Africa. I mean, you Europeans, you are fine. It's your things, you people in the snow. We don't snow. It snowed. Well, not where I am, but it snowed. And it was very cold here where I'm at. It was freezing. And I had to come here and put my heater on. And I was in this and I was in my other windbreaker. And I was just so too hot in here that I actually couldn't focus. And I needed to realize in that moment, that's when I realized that it's very important that the temperature is at a comfortable setting, that I'm not too hot or too cold, but that I'm comfortable, that I can work. So if it's too hot where you are, try to get some fresh air in. If it's too cold, try to get the temperature just a little bit warmer, but don't freeze or sweat, because that is going to exhaust you faster than whatever else that you might be doing. And then also play some music that puts you in some focus mode. Sometimes, for me, it used to be, it is sometimes jazz. But I remember when I was studying in university, I used to play these these like playlists or whatever that they say, like, you know, soft jazz with fireplace sound or whatever. And I would set my room into like a nice ambient, you know, some yellow lighting and it was nice and cozy, and I'll just play the music soft, and it sounded like the fireplace also. So it just kind of created this nice ambient sound. And with my cup of tea on my kitty cup, my kitty cup is away, but that helped a lot. And I would focus for hours. I'll just sit there and type away. Like that got me through my dissertation. But doing that helps as well. Also, maybe some scents. Maybe if you have some essential oils and you like a particular smell, maybe rosemary or lavender, whatever scents you might like that give you a nice space, get a little diffuser, or just something that gives that ambience that you like. Some smells of nature, smell of flowers, that might help you get into that. Oh, when I smell this, I focus. When I hear this type of music, I focus. So that is a nice way to create a nice ambience and creating a space that says, when I'm here, I work, I don't play. Next, we have to develop mental discipline. How are we going to develop mental discipline? By cultivating mindfulness practices and to improve focus and attention. So mindfulness practices, I personally like to have, I visualize my day the night before. So when I leave here, I think after I'm done here, I'm just going to close up and I'm going to my room, probably make dinner. But then I'll start to think about what am I going to do tomorrow? Usually I would even think ahead of time that, okay, I'm going to work out. Do I want to do legs? Do I want to do chest? Do I want to do back? I think about that the day before. What work am I going to do? Am I going to edit, or am I going to put this one on hold and maybe work on my website or whatever I think I need to do? I start to visualize that the day before and put my brain in a space where it's primed for the next day. That way I don't feel like when I wake up, I don't feel confused about what I'm going to do. And this works specifically for me because I don't like, I should, but I don't. This whole thing of sitting there and doing my to-do list and all of that, look, it works for a lot of people. And if it works for you, please do it. I just don't do it. I don't like to do it. It does nothing for me. I've done a to-do list and I just don't look at it. It's just there, So how can I put it? Visualizing my day works a lot better for me than to sit down and put it on paper or put it on my phone or whatnot. And also when I wake up, I'm not confused about the trajectory of my day. I know exactly from the moment that I wake up, I know where I'm going to go next. Okay. So have a plan of what you're going to do, and then choose 2 major things that you're going to focus on that day. Many times we pile up so many tasks to complete. We say, I want to do this, I want to do that, and do this and do that. And we end up not doing anything because we overwhelm ourselves. So it's always good to have like 2 tasks that are very important that you're going to do on that day. And that's all you're going to focus on. By the end of the week, you'll have completed 10 tasks versus saying, I'm going to do 4 things or 5 things in one day and not doing anything. So 2 things, I think, is a very good starting ground for progression. Is a good way to focus. 2 things, no more than that. I wouldn't go more than that. And then turn off distractions, obviously, right? Turn off your phone, turn off your notifications, just get rid of the distractions. And this is difficult because, especially with the phone that is there, I mean, you can't switch off your phone. People need to reach you and whatnot. But develop a sense of discipline. That was it Jim Rohn that said, these tools shouldn't control you. You control the tool. He was speaking of the time back in the day when telephones were first there, where it was like, look, the phone is here to be used by me. The phone does not control me, right? If I'm having dinner with my family and my phone rings, I will not pick up the phone during dinner time because it is dinner time. It is family time. If it is an emergency, the person will call back and then we'll answer. But if it's not an emergency, we will return the call. So recognize that these things are controlled by you, not you are controlled by them. If you find yourself not being I am very guilty of this. I'm in a point now where I'm like, oh, I need to do this or I need to delete this app. And I physically react like, no, what am I going to do if I delete my YouTube from my phone and so forth? So that is a problem that I need to get rid of. It's a distraction. Get rid of it. And then also reward yourself. Very important to reward yourself. We spoke about this before. But rewarding yourself also just gives you, you're a puppy, essentially, okay? I know we should be harder on ourselves, but essentially you're a dog. You like to be stimulated. You like a treat. You like to feel rewarded. So why not? If you have had a good day, a good productive day, set a task and you completed it, why don't you deserve a reward? You deserve a reward, okay? Because you did good. You're a good boy. You're a good boy. Shit. People telling you that, no, we shouldn't use reward tactics and whatnot. Do it. Okay? Okay. As you can see, my nigga's here. So reward yourself because it's a good stimulant. It gives you something to feel good about. It gives you something to look forward to. And I think it just creates that dopamine buzz that we all want. Okay? And then now you have to train your mind through mental exercises and cognitive training. So this one is a good one because I feel like at this point in time, especially because we all have cell phones, we all have social media, or we all have Google Cloud, we all have whatever. We've forgotten the good old art of using our brain, like memorizing phone numbers and so forth. So having some good mental exercises can help you create a strong brain, I think. I don't want to say a strong brain, but it's kind of like it creates muscle memory that helps you recruit your cognitive functions efficiently when you need them. So here's just a few exercises that you can try. Test your recall. Test your recall ability. Learn a song, see if you can sing it back. Listen to a phone number and see if you can say it back. Try to memorize things and call them out. Or watch something and try to recall the events of that situation. So do some recall tests and see how that goes. But it's a good way to, you know what I'm saying? So do math in your head. Oh, this one, guys, because 1 + 1 is 2, obviously. 3 + 3 is 6, yeah. But then what is 136 + 45, right? Do that in your head. And that is a fun one because also when you can do that shit, you feel good about yourself. There's something about it that boosts your ego as well. So do that. Learn a new skill, whether you want to go for a cooking class, learn how to garden, learn how to, woodwork, learn a new skill because you develop muscle memory in different areas and you recruit different areas of your cognitive ecosystem. So don't be afraid to try something new and to start from scratch. The whole empty your cup. Because you cannot fill a full cup. Empty your cup and start up. Build up. It always makes for a better student and it also strengthens your cognitive abilities. And then learn a foreign language. I'm trying this. I've been trying to. I've even been cheating with French. But maybe I should try and learn another language because French... I should actually. I was learning French and then I quit, but I should. French is very hard. I was trying to say, or I was going to use the excuse that no, French is close to Portuguese, but actually no, they're not that related. Some rules are similar, but French is extremely crazy. So learning new language, you'll feel good about that too. And then build habits and routines that support sustained focus. For example, give yourself more time than what you think you need to complete a task. Many times we estimate that we might be able to do something in a shorter time than what we actually do. I'll say, for example, we'll say it will take me just an hour to bake this cake, but you don't take into consideration that you still have to do prep. You don't leave room for accidents. Maybe you'll miss an egg or something. So instead of saying, give me an hour and I'll have this cake for you, give me 2 hours and I'll have this cake for you. So make that a habit. If you think it will take you 30 minutes to do something, try to double or double the time. Okay. And then see, maybe it gives you more room to do something in a more calm and relaxed manner. Create a daily habit that you do every single day. Something like as simple as making up your bed every day is very helpful, because for me, what it has done is that, never mind it keeps your house neat and all of that, yes, but it just tells your brain that you are now going to start a new day. So it gets you ready for the day to begin, right? Because your bed is made, you are doing this thing that has told your brain that every time I make up my bed, this means that the next step is that I'm going to shower and then I'm coming to the office and we are going to get to work. So you already feel ready for work because you've created this sequence of habits that you perform every single day leading up to function to your work. So let's say make up my bed and then I shower and then I eat. Your body already starts going to places. It already starts to, there's like this muscle memory sometimes that is built in, that it knows that after this happens, after this, that happens. And before you know it, you're ready for work and you're not as distracted because you've primed yourself. You have decided already that this is what you're going to do and your brain is already prepared for that. And then set your most simple tasks to be done out in the morning. So if you need to respond to emails, do that quickly. If you need to make a quick call, do that quickly. Like all these little things that are like admin, I'll call them, get those out of the way early, first thing in the day, so that you have the rest of the day to hyper focus on the bigger tasks. And then, what is it? Oh, and then connect with your bigger goal by journaling. This is a good idea to remind you, why am I trying to achieve this task? Why am I doing this? So that, because every single day that we work, every single task that we complete is a step towards a bigger goal. So connect with your goal by journaling. Again, I said I don't like to journal, but I do things here mentally. I visualize, I remember what I'm set out to do, and I set my goals out in accordance to, or I set my days out and my tasks out in accordance to the bigger picture. And then meditate to prepare for whatever the day brings. So like I said, for me, I do this the night before. A lot of people like to do this the day off in the morning. Maybe it's the first thing you do, or maybe it's the first thing you do just as you wake up, or it's the first thing you do after you get prepared for the rest of the day. But just take a moment to remember and to prime your brain that today, this is what we're going to do, and that we need to be concentrating on that stuff. Number 4, now we're going into the territory of strategies or tools and tips that we can use. So one that is very cool that I like is time blocking. Time blocking, essentially what it is if you go back to giving yourself an extra hour. If you think something will take you an hour, give yourself an extra hour to complete that task. Time blocking will help you with this. So if it takes me, let's say, an hour to script my episodes, I will give myself, or if I think it will take me to an hour to script my episodes, I'll give myself 2 hours on my calendar. So I'll say between 10 and 12. This is what I'm doing. 10 and 12 in the morning, I am scripting my episode. So that time on your calendar, you can block that as red. That's the scripting time. And then maybe between 12 and 1, I'm having lunch break. And then between 1 and 4, this is when I am editing the previous episode. Because in my head, I think it takes me about 2 hours to edit. So maybe it takes me 4. Wait, girl, that math. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, maybe it takes me 3 or 4 hours. You get what I'm saying? So either way, I block those 3 to 4 hours green. Those are my two major tasks for that day. I don't have to do anything else. It's 5 o'clock. Chances are I will have been done with my editing because I gave myself more than enough time. So you block your day according to how long you think it will take you to do a task, and then you just add an extra hour or two on top of that. And then you do that with the next big task for the day. And then I know that between 9 and 10, I'm going through my emails. I'm just responding if I need to and sending emails if I need to. All of that happens in the morning. And you don't have to look at your emails again until maybe later on if you want to, maybe until 12 during lunchtime, or you can just leave it till the next day. It's up to you. But that is the whole concept of calendar blocking, of time blocking. So with this, you're going to prioritize tasks based on the importance or urgency, right? So what is more important for me to do? I need to script this episode, or do I need to edit this episode because this one needs to go out tomorrow? So maybe I'll do the inverse. In the morning, I'll first edit this one, upload it, schedule it, let it go, and then I will work on the script for the next episode. So you'll just decide what is more important of these two tasks that have to be done, which one is more important. Do that first and then get that out the way, and then you start to work on your next one. And then break down your complex projects into manageable tasks. So the bigger scale here is that I need to upload an episode every day, Monday to Friday. I need to do small things every day that build up to me uploading this episode. One day I need to script, another day I need to do thumbnails, another day I need to do research, another day I need to do this, I need to do that, whatever it is. But look at what is the bigger thing that you need to achieve this week. Everything that you do within this week is building up and is contributing towards the primary goal of the week. So that is one technique, calendar blocking. Another technique that you can use is flow activities. So the concept of flow activity implies that you group tasks that are similar to one another next to one another. So if it is, let's say, meditation and working out, they're similar things. So you can first work out and then meditate, or you can first meditate and then you work out. So now with your work, you do the same thing. What flows better into each other? I think that scripting and research for me work hand in hand. They flow into each other. So I can do my basic outline, my basic skeleton of my script, and then I can do my research, and then that's done. Or whatever it might be, find tasks that complement one another and put those two next to each other. And then identify activities or hobbies that naturally flow into those. So based on what you do, identify what tasks those are. Is it that I need to do my gardening, but I'm also outside? So maybe you can meditate and then go do your gardening. They flow naturally into one another. So you don't have to break focus or like abruptly do an activity that is so vastly different to the one that you're doing before, that sometimes might create that unwillingness to work, and also that sometimes can be a distraction. And then incorporate flow activities into your daily routine. So from waking up, you make up your bed, and then what's the next thing you do? What's the next thing you do? Things that flow into each other, that also then flow into your work. That way, you don't really have to work so hard again into getting yourself ready to, or hyping yourself up to doing something, because the activities, they just naturally flow into one another. Now, another thing that we can do is to leverage external tools and techniques that can help you retain focus. So you can also use productivity apps. Like I said, there's the calendar, you have Todoist, you have Trello, you have Notion, you have so many productivity apps that you can incorporate into your day to help you keep distractions away and also to help you keep focused on your task. Explore techniques like the Pomodoro technique and the Eisenhower matrix. So the Pomodoro technique is a cool one. You basically take your day or your task, whatever it may be, and you break it up into increments of, like, let's say 25 minutes. You do 25 minutes of work, 5 minutes break, 25 minutes of work, 5-minute break. You do a cycle, 2 cycles of that, which means, or 4 cycles of 25 minutes, 25, 25, 25, 25. that gives you 2 hours of work. So if you, for example, say you have to work between 10 and 12, you do 25 minutes of work and then you take a 5-minute breather. 25. Ew, this nigga farted. This dog. Sis. 25 minutes of work, 5 minutes break, 25 minutes work, 5-minute breaks, and you do another 25 minutes, 5 off, 5 on, 5 off. That is 2 hours of work. Then you can give yourself a 15 or 20-minute or 30-minute break for lunch or whatever, and then you come back and you do it again. It is very efficient. I tried it with my son with the homeschooling, and it helps, because now I've got 25 minutes. You set your timer, you work, you hyper focus, you actually get a lot done. I haven't really tried it on myself, but I've seen a lot of productivity dudes talk about this technique, and I did try it out with my son. So it's one thing that works. And then you have the Eisenhower matrix. So the idea of the Eisenhower matrix is that it helps you organize your tasks by urgency and importance. So you'll divide your tasks into 4 boxes. One box will be set for the most important tasks that you're going to complete now. Another box is the tasks that you're going to schedule for later. Another box is a task that you're going to delegate. So things that you are not personally going to do, that you're going to send out for other people to do. And then your last box is a task that you're going to delete. Things that you're done with, that you don't have to do, or maybe things that you just gave up on. Those are tasks that go on that last box. So implementing these types of techniques can also help you hyper focus, because while you're focused on the most prioritized task right now, you don't have to think about something that you've already allocated to do later, and you don't have to think about the thing that you've delegated. You also don't have to think about the stuff that you'll have to delete, because it's most likely tasks that you have already completed. So these are 2 techniques that I can share with you, but there are obviously many others out there that you guys can try and experiment for with yourselves. And then the benefits of ambient noise and music and music that can help enhance focus. So remember, we spoke about smells and noises. So like play something that your brain associates with focus. Put that on so that you don't have to struggle to focus. Sometimes, for example, when I don't feel like working out, something as simple as playing some songs gets me in the mood to get up there and get my work done. It happens the same way with focus. There are certain songs that I can play and that my brain automatically just gets in focus mode. So recognize what those sounds might be for you and incorporate that into your working times. And now, enhance physical and mental well-being. So the importance of physical exercise and movement for your mental or cognitive functions is very critical, because we all know that when we move, when we're not sedentary, we feel good, we feel more stimulated, we feel more motivated when we get up and move our body. So exercise, because that also gets you feeling more motivated. And motivation is the best thing that we all ride on. It's not something that is readily available. Sometimes you just have to create that boost, right? So working out or exercise is one of those things that can trigger that good feeling of motivation, and that can allow you and help you to focus. Another thing that is very important to remember is the importance of your nutrition. If you're well nourished, if you're well hydrated, remember, your brain is an organ, okay? Just like your lungs need to be taken care of, your liver, your stomach, or your heart, whatever it is, based on what you eat. Your brain also has specific foods that you can take that help. I know your omega-3s are very good and healthy for your brain. You can take the supplements, or you can, your fish. Also, just see what foods you eat that make you feel good, what foods you eat that make you feel lethargic. I know for me, heavy carbs make me feel so horrible, so bloated, and I don't feel like anything. So I try to avoid those foods when I'm in a state of work. I try to eat lighter meals, and I leave those for when I'm maybe lazier, or maybe over the weekend when I'm not really working. So be aware, be mindful of how your brain interacts with different foods and how you perform based on the foods that you eat and how you work out. And now, manage stress and reduce mental clutter. A good way to do this is see the things that you've committed to. Do you even want to do it? Are you able to? Do you have to? No. get rid of it. Get rid of all these things that you don't need to think about. Delegating is a good thing to do. I remember with the event that I went to this year, and I asked the ladies, they are working women, and I asked, oh, not sorry, business women who run massive companies, and they're CEOs of, energy solution companies. We're talking about women in mining. It's powerhouses. And how are you a mother, and how at the same time do you run a company? And they said, plain and simple, delegate. Whether it's getting a helper to help you clean, whether it's getting somebody that's going to go through your mail, whatever it might be, delegate the things that take up your brain power so that you don't have to do them. Make money so that you can pay somebody to do them, so that you can focus on the most important thing. It's very important also with your surroundings, the people that you keep around. How beneficial are they to your focus and to your concentration? Sometimes we carry other people's problems and it distracts us from our own goals. So try to manage that and try to really preserve your mental sanctity, because the more mentally sound you are, the better you focus. Lastly, how are we going to overcome procrastination and distraction? How are we going to overcome all of this? Okay, first, it's very important to identify the common sources of procrastination and distraction. What causes you to procrastinate? I'll tell you, for me, is YouTube. Big culprit, that one. Sometimes I wake up and I just sit there on YouTube, and then it's like, hey, I need to wake up, and then I don't wake up because I'm too busy watching Philip DeFranco. So very important, identify your sources of procrastination and distraction. And then a strategy for you to minimize digital distraction would say to delete these apps. Delete them apps from the phone, okay? If you don't have the discipline to not go on them when you don't need to be on them, just delete them, get rid of them so that you can really focus on what matters. And then explore techniques that motivate and maintain focus for your long-term goals. For example, identify what your long-term goal is and recognize that it might take years for you to achieve them. I think most of us, or a lot of us, have, long-term career goals, long-term business goals, and we really forget how long it takes to achieve these things, and that it is what we do on a daily basis that will determine whether or not we make it or whether we achieve these goals. So identify what that long-term goal is, and remember that it will take years, guys. I'm not talking months. I'm not talking end year goal. I'm talking. And that's why I'm revising the idea of goal setting. I'm revising the idea of focus and beating adversities now in the middle of the year and not in the beginning of next year, because our goals are bigger than a year. We have to really look at these things long term. And then we have to identify, and then we need to document our goals. However it is that you do, whether it's vision boarding, whether it's journaling, whether it's writing them down somewhere. I'm actually bad at this and I need to do it. Write down what my goal is, document them, because many times we lose track actually of what we set out to do, because there's so many distractions, so many things happen, there's so many shiny things that we look at like, oh, I want that, and then we derail. So put down what your long-term goal is somewhere, documented, even if it's in a video, to say, hey, Fernando, this is my long-term goal. Don't get distracted. Whatever it might be, document that long-term goal so that you have something to refer to whenever you find yourself distracted. And then strengthen your self-regulation. And learn how to say no when you need to say no. Learn how to say yes when you need to say yes. Develop discipline. Know what you need to do to boost a bit more motivation. Be very, very aware of when you get distracted, what distracts you, what serves you, what doesn't. So we need to really, really be very intentional with self-regulation, because many times we just let ourselves go. We get too excited, or we get too depressed, or we get too demoralized with certain things that we go through. All these waves that we go through is because we don't have enough self-control or self-regulation. So what do we need to do in order to stabilize that self-regulation? Maybe you need to exercise more. Maybe we need to eat better. Maybe we need to change our circles, the narrative that we speak within ourselves. I'm now changing the way that I speak. My friend made me aware of this. And since she did this, I've been doing it all the time. I don't say hope anymore. I don't say I want to. I'm very intentional with the words that I'm using and how I use them. And that has really helped so far with how I perceive myself, with how I boost my self-esteem, and how I also concentrate and how I sit here and the intention that I set for my long-term goals. Make time for your long-term goals, which means every day break these goals or break them up into small tasks so that you are making time for them. That is what it means to make time for your long-term goals. What do I need to do towards achieving them? Goals are something that are meant to be achieved. Goals are literally something that you need to get to and say like, oh, I set myself out to do this and I did it. That's what a goal is. This is not a wish. This is not a desire. This is very actionable. And I try to, one of the reasons why I avoid maybe certain cute buzzwords like meditation or intention and so forth is because I want to be very actionable. I want this to be very actionable steps that we need to take to get to where we need to get to. Stay on course. You document it so that you're able to refer back to it in order to help you stay on course. And also recognize progress. Many times we forget that we have small victories along the way and we don't celebrate them. That's why I'm starting to believe in reward, because I can recognize that, oh, I've progressed this way. I've done this way. I set out to do this and this is where I am. Good job. Celebrate your little wins and recognize progress. These guys are the things that I wanted to share with you about focus. Focus is one thing that I use, just the word focus. It used to be my tagline throughout my university and I'm bringing it back. I have brought it back into my life. Focus, it has helped me to get through my honors degree. So now it needs to come back and it needs to get me through the rest of my life. And I wanted to share this part of my journey with you and inspire you to develop that sense of focus, give you actionable steps to boost focus so that we can get to where we need to get to, guys. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Don't forget to share this podcast with anyone that you know will find this useful. And remember that we are all going through shit right now and we don't need another piece of shit in this world to make things worse. I love you, everyone. Thank you for tuning in and I'll see you guys again next week. Bye.